Howdy-ho, guys and gals. It's that time of year to start thinking about generators, specifically home backup generators. Yeah, I know summer, it feels like, for some of you, it feels like summer's in full swing, but you know what? In no time, the leaves are going to be turning colors. They're going to be dropping from the trees. So there'll be wisps of snow in the air, and winter storm season is not that far behind. You want to be prepped ahead of time. You don't want to wait until it's too late. Just think about back to Texas a few years back when they hit that big ice storm. Everyone went out to run out to get a generator. They're all gone. Don't be caught flat-footed. Let's talk about what maybe you need here for your home. So let's jump into it. Now, the idea of having a whole home dedicated generator is a great thing that many of us would like to have. But you know what? They're expensive. They're dedicated, so you can't really use it for anything else. You're putting a bunch of money into this system that basically has to sit there and stay there, and that's the only thing it can be used for. Maybe you don't have that kind of cash, or maybe you need something that's more flexible. Maybe you need something that can be moved around. Maybe you don't want something that somebody can come in and uninstall and run off with. I don't know. But the other option then is your typical portable generator. And your typical portable generator like this open frame generator. It doesn't put out the cleanest power. That means instead of getting that nice pure sine wave, you're getting spiky kind of power that is not good for today's delicate electronics. On top of that, they're loud, they're noisy, they're smelly, the whole 9 yards. And you know what? It's like, just blaring signs saying, I've got, several $100,000 sitting right here on wheels, ready to go, come and take it. And we've seen that happen winters, in the past few winters where, I've been following crime reports across the U.S. and generators theft during winter storms is a big deal. So you got to watch out for it. So let's talk about then, what is the option that you want to go with? What's going to be the happy in between? And what I'm talking about here is I'm talking about fully enclosed inverter generators, okay? And that's two kind of form factors there. And unlike the open frame, we're fully enclosing it with sound dampening. There's foam and all sorts of panels here that basically muffle the entire generator. Everyone thinks all the sound comes from the exhaust, and a good bit of it does, but I would say probably most of the sound comes from the engine itself. So what these do is they fully enclose it, they muffle the whole thing down, and then the second thing is they have an inverter on them. Now the inverter does two things. A, it ramps up the power that's needed as needed. So if you're not drawing full power, it's not running at full power, which means it's not running as loud. This thing's going to be whisper quiet compared to your full frame open cage kind of generators. On top of that, that inverter makes that power smooth. Nice, buttery kind of smooth. Nice, pure sine waves that all your electronics are going to be super happy with. So you're not going to have any of those spikes that could damage anything in your house. Now, the gold standard when it comes to generators, everyone will tell you, is Honda. You got to get a Honda. Now, I do believe that back in the day that was entirely true and that Honda completely ruled the roost when it came to generators. But a lot of companies have made some real strides in recent years. And let's do a comparison here, okay? Now, you may see I did some videos recently about generators, so you can compare those and talk about that as well. But here we got the Honda inverter generator. This is the biggest fully enclosed inverter generator that Honda makes and sells today. This is 7,000 watts with, I think it's 5,000 running watts. Let me double check. They're little. They don't really like to shout it out what the running watts on it is. Here we go, 5,500. I was doubting myself for a reason there. So you're looking at 7,000 started. That means when you turn something on, a lot, especially with the bigger motors like AC units, furnaces, stuff like that. That first kick, it's getting the boulder moving, and that's going to take a lot more juice than once it gets going, it's got its momentum and it keeps up its inertia. So the power is going to spike it first, and that's what you need for that spike power. That's the 7,000 watt there. And then hopefully it'll settle down. As long as it spikes less than 7,000 and runs less than 5,000 once going, this generator can handle it. But let's look at the panel, because that's where the rubber meets the road when it comes to a generator like this. Let me see if I can enlarge it here for you. So this is a pretty basic generator here, okay? You got your main switch, you got an electric start, that's nice, not having to pull start it all the time. You've got your CO alarm on, that's pretty much standard on generators these days. All the companies that make generators formed a whole kind of commission to decide what we can do to make generators more safe, because unfortunately a lot of people have used generators in unsafe ways and have injured or killed people in the past. Don't run generators in your house, don't run them in your garage, don't run them even sitting up against the house, because because it will go up into the eaves of the house, the soffits get sucked in, and that can really hurt some people, especially the smaller people in your house. So be safe with generators. You want to have them away from anything if you're in a tent, if you're in a camper, unless it's built into the camper and specifically designed for it. In that case, it has exhaust systems to handle this. You want to make sure that generator is well away from it. Anyway, that's what the CO2 Secure on that's going to do for you. It's going to warn you, and it's going to shut down the generator if it starts sensing that the exhaust is coming back in there. All right, it's got two 30 amp plugs. Now, one of these is going to run a standard twist lock running at 30 amps, and the other one is going to run 30 amps with, I think it's a 4-prong twist lock, and it will do 110 or 220. And then in between those two, you're going to get 4 of your standard 110 outlets there. That's about all you're going to get on this. It's got a nice little control panel there where it'll tell you how long it's been running and how much power it's drawing and that sort of thing. Now, as far as the form factor of the generator itself, it's your basic cube. You're going to see a lot of these. They're all like that kind of cube form factor, about as tall as they are wide, about as same as they are long. You've got the 2 handles up front, makes it kind of the wheelbarrow standard. And again, that's kind of a standard you're going to see across all of these. They all kind of adopt this kind of form factor. One thing you're going to notice is 2-wheel versus 4-wheel. This is a 2-wheel, true wheelbarrow kind of design. So you got the 2 wheels up front, you got the 2 legs, I should say 2 wheels in the back, the two peg legs up front. So it won't move easily without using the handles. Okay, I'm sure you can drag it a bit and whatnot, but that's basically where you're going to be. Now, this Honda is a great company. They stand behind their products. They're known to last for just eons, as it were, and you're paying that price for it. Looking at $5,000 for what is essentially, just barely scraping what we're calling the whole home backup, emergency backup kind of generator. Now, let's talk about Champion. Now, Champion's another one that we've talked about a lot on the channel. I'm a big fan of Champion. And what we're looking at here with their cube, this is their largest, fully enclosed. That's what they're all going to be. They're all going to be fully closed, super quiet, whisper quiet kind of generators with inverters. All of that's going to be standard. Okay? They all have wheel kits. They all have handles. That's all built in. Here's the difference with the Champion. You're going up to an 8,500 running watt, or starting, I take that back, starting wattage. But this is also a dual fuel. All right, now it's got the CO2 shield on it as well, so you've got the protection there. Let me just double check here, make sure I got my numbers right here. 8,500 starting, 7,000 running watt, okay? 14 hours of runtime on gasoline, 6,300 running watts, 12 hours on propane. Now remember, on these dual fuel ones, if you do switch over to propane, you're going to lose 5 to 10% of power depending on the generator. Usually you lose more off of the starting and a little bit less off of the running, but that's the case. It's going to be somewhat more convenient for a lot of you, especially you RVer types, to run off of propane, but you're going to lose a little bit of power. So make sure when you're buying one of these that you're scaling the size of the generator for what it can actually do based on the fuel you're going to use with it. Now, this is, again, a similar form factor. It's got, instead of just the 2 handles up front, it's got a curved handle system, which is kind of nice because you can grab it with one hand if you're strong enough to move it. It's got the 2 wheels in the back, the 2 peg legs up front. Now, as far as the front panel, let me pull that up here for you. This one's got a pretty nice front panel on it. Let me go back to the other screen there. It was a little bit easier on the other screen. There we go. So we've got the your basic ignition switch up front. You've got your circuit breaker and your 12-volt DC, if your car adapter kind of thing. Then you've got your 120 240 AC plug. That's your 4-prong locking. All right, and this is a 30 amp plug. All right. Now the other plugs down to the right there. You've got 2 of your banks of 2, 4 total of your standard household kind of plug. But these are GFCI, which means they've got the integrated circuit breaker in them. It makes them a little bit safer, better to use. These are going to both run. These are all going to run 120 volts at 20 amps. That's pretty nice. 20 amps is good power on that. And then on the far right, we've got the full RV style 50 amp plug. Okay. Now on that 30 amp plug, a lot of you who have the small RVs are like, that's not going to fit on my RV. There's an adapter you can get for like 10, 20 bucks that will convert that to a standard RV 30 amp plug. So that's not really a big deal. We got our circuit breakers and we got our control panel up there that tells you the voltage, the frequency, runtime, all that kind of stuff. It also tells you about AC overload if you're running too much power, that kind of thing. And then we can see down the lower left, that's your easy start dial there. And then you've got your your propane and your LPG inlet there. So this is a pretty cool, setup here. You're looking at, it's an electric start inverter generator here. Let me go back to the other, with the carbon monoxide shutoff. That's going to be standard. But so we're getting more power. We're getting dual fuel. We're getting more plugs than the Honda, and we're at $2,299. That's a significant price drop on that compared to the Honda. Now you may say, well, the Honda's gonna outlast us, stuff like this. I've been RV camping for a long time. We've had a Class A, we've got a travel trailer, and I know back in the day, Hondas were everywhere. Hondas don't account for nearly they're not even the majority anymore. You're seeing Champion out there. You're going to see a lot of these other brands out there. The Harbor Freight, Predator generators, those are really taking over out there. You're seeing a lot more. And Honda's kind of going away because these other players have really stepped up their game and are making generators that last. Now, this one was over at Walmart. I should have pointed out that the Honda was over at Acme Tools. I did try to do some price checking to find out where they are the lowest, but depending on when you watch this, prices may change, they may fluctuate, they may go on sale. So be aware of that. We're still over at Walmart. Let's talk about the Duramax series. Now, Duramax series, I don't know if I'd quite put them up there with Champion. They're a good quality budget brand. Let's call it that. This is their XP9000. This is 9,000 watts starting. The running, though, I think is, let me see here. It's coming in at 9,000 starting, 7,600 running. Propane is 85 starting, 7,200 running. I like it when they put it right there on the box there. So there's no question about, hey, what's really going on here. Now, that said, this is a dual fuel inverter generator. Again, you're coming in at a price now $1,999. Again, that's going to be quite a bit less than that Honda. But again, you're talking about a budget brand here. Now, this is a slightly different form factor. You're getting the same wheelbarrow kind of handles, but now rather than just 2 wheels, you have 4, which means that once you get it in place, if you need to adjust it a little bit here, a little bit there, it makes it a little bit easier to move. Now, I've got 2 generators, we're going to talk about those in a minute, that are this form factor, and I really appreciate the ability to just be able to grab it and roll it rather than having to bring up the wheelbarrow handles every single time I want to move it. So to me, that's definitely a win. Of course, these are all going to have the show. You can see there it's got the pull handle on it. All these are going to have the pull handle, but I think they're also all going to have electric start, and some are going to have some other things there we'll talk about in a minute. Now, this one is kind of weird because being the budget brand, you're losing one of those plugs. You're losing the 50 amp plug. So here we've got one of the Twist Lock 30 amp, one of the Twist Lock 240s, and then we got two USBs, and we've got 4 of the standard household plugs, your 120, 20 amp plugs. Again, 20 amp is nice, all right, but again, it's like, I'm running a 9,000 watt, but I don't get a 50 amp, and that's kind of a bummer for me. And that's a real drawback on this one here. Now, while we're talking about this panel here, I want to talk about some of the other stuff. We have the fuel choice. You can select between gas and LPG. Your eco mode on and off. There's your electric start. There's your gas input and your on-off switch and such. There's the plugs that we talked about. And then we've got USB plugs up here and a parallel link. Now, parallel it's pretty common on the smaller generators where you'll see that you could take 2, like say 25 or 30, any of the smaller ones, pretty much, and you can run them together in parallel to make them act like a larger generator. It's not very common to see that on these bigger generators because, I mean, my gosh, you're going to run 2 9,000s together? Maybe you are. Maybe that's what you need. Just make sure that when you buy the parallel kit, it is rated for that much juice because a lot of the parallel kits are rated for much smaller, all right? And fun fact, you don't have to use the same brand to run in parallel. In fact, they don't even have to be the same power level. If you're running, say, a 5,000 and a 9,000, the parallel kit will read it as 2 5,000. So it will come down to the lowest common denominator there, but you can use it. So just be aware, you can use different brands as long as their plugs all connect and the wires work with each other. You can run different kind of generators together. All right, now let's keep talking about this one here. The dual fuel IH. A lot of people that I know on our channel and over on the Facebook group. If you're not a member of the Facebook group, we got 110,000 people helping each other out, finding deals, answering questions, that sort of thing. Be sure to go check that out. Anyway, This is a fantastic, generator here for the money. You're getting a lot of stuff there, minus the 50 amp one. Power on the go, dual fuel tech, and the inverter tech. As I said, these are all inverter generators. Remote start. That's why I was double checking here because I was pretty sure this one had it. Yeah, I kid you not. It's just like if you've got a car with remote start, it's the same thing. And I'll be honest, I kind of scoffed when I first saw this coming about and becoming a trend with a lot of these. And I recently got a generator with remote start, and it's pure luxury. It's just being able to sit there and go, okay, time to start the generator. That's it. Want to turn off the generator, hit the button again. Yeah, it is. It's kind of silly, kind of luxury, but it is nice to have. I don't know if I'd go out of my way to buy a generator specifically for that, but the fact that it has it, I'm not going to say no to it. Let me put it that way. All right, let's keep going up the power level scale, and let's talk about Pulsar. Pulsar is another value brand, and I haven't seen it nearly as much. And I was reticent to include it in this because I just don't have enough history about the Pulsar brand and people who have it. If you do have a Pulsar generator, put it down in the comments. Let me know what you think about it. I've heard mixed kind of things about it, I should say. Nothing like it's terrible, nothing like it's a scam, nothing like you should avoid it. Just people, and not this level of generator. It was always the much smaller one because they're a value brand, and usually people looking for smaller generators often go for the more value kind of brands. 9,500 running watts on this one, dual fuel with CO alert and remote start. Now we're going back to the wheelbarrow style. We get the wheelbarrow handles, 2 wheels and 2 legs, so you're losing the 4-wheel adapter there. Let's take a look at the panel on the front of this thing. So what we've got here is we've got your fuel source selector up there, your main on-off switch, your main electric start, your LPG inputs, your display port. We're just going to tell you, how long it's been running, that kind of stuff. Now that looks like it's going to be a 12-volt like cigarette lighter kind of plug, but it's not. There's a Type A and a Type C USB port underneath there. Then we've got the AC 120 240 in the 30 amp 4-prong locking next to that. And next to that one, we've got the 50 amp. So we get the 50 amp plug back with this one. And then we got 4 of our standard household 120 20 amps. Boy, that 20 amp is nice. Again, the parallel here, circuit breaker, and then you select the voltage, whether you're going to run it at 120 or 240 on this. So you're getting a lot of the same stuff you're getting on this one, but you're getting back that 50 amps. So if you're looking for a budget selection and you're willing to give it a try and you want that 50 amp plug, you might want to look at the Pulsar. Now we can't have this conversation without talking about Harbor Freight, because Harbor Freight has been the real, they're not the 800-pound gorilla in the room that Honda is, but they're probably the 600-pound gorilla because they've been really taking out chunks of market from Honda and from other generators. And they've really kind of exploded the breadth of generators they have. I have this generator myself. Now, Harbor Freight's been a big friend of the channel. They never sponsor anything in the channel. They never pay us, but they do send us a lot of stuff for testing and have for years. But we wanted a newer generator. When this one came out, the wife and I looked at each other and we're like, we're buying it. We went out immediately and bought it the day it came out. And we've been thrilled with it. It's actually sitting right over there because we've been using for some testing and stuff. Currently priced at $2,500, which is, prices have been going up. It happens everywhere, unfortunately. This is their 9,500 watt super quiet inverter generator with the CO tech, okay? Now it's 9,500 running, starting, 7,600 running, okay? And I know we're back with the 4-wheel system with the wheelbarrow style handles here. And let me see if I can pull up the front. We want to see that panel there. And this is typical of some of the other ones we've seen. Okay, we've got the AC 120 30 amp plug, then we've got 2 of the 20 amps, and then we've got the 50 amp. And the 50 amp will do 120 and 240, whereas the 30 amp, of course, is 120 only. You've got space there for parallel connections again. You have the parallel connections on this. You've got the DC 12-volt input. You've got your hour meter on it. You've got your basic on-off. You've got your electric start. It does not have remote start. Okay. Also, I would point out it doesn't have as long a warranty as any of the other ones. This comes with, I believe, your standard 90-day warranty. Let me double check here because who knows? Harbor Freight changes this stuff from time to time. But let me come down here. Warranty information is probably 90 days. Oh my gosh. 2 years. They just kind of slid that one in there, didn't they? Maybe that's the reason for the price increase. But we guarantee emissions control your engine kit to be free from different worship for 2 years. Oh, no, that's the emission controls. All right. And then the product to be free from defects for 90 days. Actually, I did know about that. Let me take that back. So 2 years on the emissions, 90 days on the generator itself. Of course, you can buy the extended warranties. And of course, as we say about Harbor Freight, never buy anything without a coupon or when it's on sale. I don't know if I'd pay $2,500 for it. I think we paid about $2,000 for ours when it first came out. Harbor Freight has a tendency come out high, work its way down, and then of course, past couple of years inflation doing what inflation does. Anyway, this is I can't though say enough about the Harbor Freight generators. They have a tremendous track record. Even Consumer Reports puts them right up there. As far as the recommended, they've recommended Honda and they recommend Predator in the same breath. They're both their editor's choice. So when everyone pretty much is like, hey, these things work, you see them being used everywhere, it's kind of hard to be angry with them about it. Yes, we'd like to see a longer warranty on it. And yeah, you can buy the extended warranty if that's something you're interested in. By the way we got this one is we had the open generator, the 9000 open frame generator. And when this came out, and we just bought it like a year before, and we had the extended warranty on it. Well, one of the secrets of the extended warranty is you can trade it in. It's up to the manager's discretion. Trade it in at full value for an upgrade to if you're upgrading to a bigger, more expensive unit. So if you've got a less expensive Predator generator and you've got the extended warranty on it, you might be able to get yourself an upgrade. All right, now let's talk about the other generator that we have in the shop. Now, this was sent to us by AIVolt. Full disclosure, we did a video on that. You may have seen it where we did the tiny house, aka deer camp build, putting the mini split on the trailer there. That was a lot of fun. Anyway, this is the one I was talking about where I got my first exposure to having the remote control and be able to start it. It's fantastic. It's dual fuel. It'll do gas. It'll do electric. I'm not going to go too long into this one. If you want a full overview of this one, go check out that video because I go way more in depth on that one. But basically, let's cover the basics of the control panel. They have a great picture here of the control panel too. I really like this. Let me pull that one up here. Oh, we have to go back to this one. That one's too not in the right place there. So what we're looking at is we've got the control knob in the lower left. You got your fuel choice. You got your low idle up there. You got your main start. You got your LPG. All kind of the same thing you have on everything else in the same spots. Then you got your stator plugs. You got 4 of the GFCI 20 amp 110s. You got your the 30 amp will do 120 or 240. Again, it's a 4 pin twist lock. And then you have your standard 50 amp, which will do 120, 240 as well. It does have 2 circuit breakers for the 30 amp and for the 50 amp. It has the voltage switch, CO2 alert, just like everything else, the DC breakers, indicators. So you have all that. And yes, it's got the parallel connectors. Again, I can't imagine connecting 2 of these together, but who knows? Maybe we will. Anyway, this is, you can see the full test. I did sound testing with it, everything else. Go check out that video. I'll put a link to it down below. It's on sale right now for 5% off. We're over on Amazon. Let's keep going on Amazon. We got the GenMax. Now, this is going to be kind of the big daddy of all the ones that we're talking about here. The GenMax is 10,500 running or starting watts. It is not single fuel. It's not dual fuel. It is tri-fuel. Now, if you can see this over here, tri-fuel means that it runs on gas, it runs on propane, and it runs on natural gas. You could actually get, if at your house, you can get a natural gas outlet installed if you don't already have one, and plug it directly into this generator. Okay. Now, I've mentioned before about like worrying about generators walking off, that sort of thing. Well, all these nice big handles and stuff, it's easy to run a cable lock or chain or something through that. Make sure that they don't just wander off, that kind of thing. But you're looking at 10,500 running or starting, 8,500 running on gas, 9,500 starting, 8,000 running on propane, and 84 starting, 68,000 running on natural gas. Again, it goes down and down and down, all right, depending on the fuel source. Now, as far as the control panel on this one, let's see, where's that picture of the control panel there? There we go. There's our control panel. So we're seeing kind of the same setup as we saw in the last one. Lower left, we got our fuel source, main switch, electric engine start, the LPG inlet, the DC 12 volt. It does have the cigarette lighter style, low idle, high idle. We've got the same plugs. We got the 4 housing plug or regular standard housing plugs at 20 amps. We've got the 30 amp, again, it does 110 or 220. The 50 amp does 110 or 220. You got your breakers, the whole 9 yards. Now, do we have parallel connections? I'm not seeing parallel connections. Again, that's not something nope, it's got parallel connections. Of course it does. Of course it does. Now, and it's got remote start. So you're getting everything. You're getting remote start, super quiet, inverter tech, 3 different fuels. Now you are losing the 4-wheel set. So you got the wheelbarrow handle with the 2 legs and the 2 wheels. That's the only negative I see on this. Other than the fact that GenMax it isn't one of the bigger names. Again, it's kind of one of the value names. A lot of people confuse it with Generac. This is not Generac, it's GenMax. And I know they use the same colors and kind of it's kind of sketchy there. But the fact of the matter is that they've been around for a while. They only have 1 rating on here, but I know several people who have them who like them, but not this. You're usually the smaller generators, not this big one, okay? Now, one thing you're going to need with any of these generators is a way to get gas to them. My favorite gas can is the Sure Can. And the Sure Can 5-gallon here, what I love about this is the nozzle on this. This is the easiest to use gas can you'll ever see. You just fold the nozzle down, pull the handle down, and just easy flow, no splash. I know a lot of people complain saying like, oh, the pivot on this will break and you'll get gas everywhere. Maybe that was an older version of something. I've had mine going on 2 years yet now. Never had a problem with it. I've talked to a lot of other people who have it. Never had a problem with it. It's got 450 ratings on whatchamacallit here on the old Amazon. And we always look for what's called the fish hook. And there's no fish hook on this at all. People love this can. It's a great can, easy to use. $58, not that expensive. Definitely something to consider. Anyway, there you go. Let me know what kind of generator you think. Are you going to pick one of these generators for your house for this fall and for the winter season coming up, or is there some other kind of generator? Is there another type of generator buyer's guide kind of thing you'd like me to go into, do a deeper dive on? Let me know down in the comments. While you're down there, don't forget to chomp the old like button, smash that subscribe, ring the bell on the way out. You all take care. God bless, and as always, shine on.